Hello everyone, and welcome to my Beginning AutoCAD 2020 Exercise Workbook for Windows guide. Today we're going to be doing Chapter 4. You can see here I've covered all the exercises from 3A all the way up to 3G in the workbook. So if you want to go check out that video, it's the previous one to this. It should just be Chapter 3. That covers everything within the chapter and how to do each exercise. So let's start a new... Click the wrong button there. There we go. We want to use the, let's see, browse templates. Mine's saved to my desktop, and we're going to go to AutoCAD, templates, and Shelper, open. Go ahead and click save as. We're going to go to chapter 4. We're going to save this as exercise 4A. It's going to save it as a DWG, which is what we want. Click save. Now we're in. So we're going to kind of work around within this file, and it's going to end up being our actual exercise 4A when we're done going through the chapter. This chapter is relatively short. There's a lot of information to read, and I'm going to spare you of having to hear me read through all that stuff. I'm just going to cover the overalls. One of them being the object snap. There's several sheets that it goes through discussing that, and you should read through them. But as a summary, if you look on sheet 4-3, it kind of gives you a play-by-play of what the name of the snaps are and what they do. So you have endpoint, midpoint, intersection center, geometric center, quadrant, tangent, perpendicular. Those are the ones that I'm going to cover. And right next to those on that sheet, it kind of discusses, hey, here's what they are, things like that. I'm actually going to show you. So if you type in DS, that stands for drafting settings, and you go to object snap, here are the different snaps we just discussed. Not all of them, but the ones that we're going to cover. So you have endpoint, midpoint, center, geometric center, quadrant, tangent, and perpendicular. So let's turn all those on. Turn the rest of them off. Geometric center, intersection, tangent, perpendicular, and we want extension off. We want quadrant on. There we go. So first thing you're going to want to do is type in DS for drafting settings. Go here and turn all these on to match what's in the book. Alright, click OK. So let's go over them. If you draw a line, and turn my ortho on using F8, and I want to draw another line. Right now, my object snap is turned off. If I hit the F3 key, or if you come down here, snap cursor to 2D references, or you can type in the command OSnap. I like using the keyboard, it's much faster. So I'm going to hit F3 to turn my snap on. If you notice, there's a little bitty green square at the end called endpoint. That's the first snap we're going to cover. Endpoint is the end of an object. It's essentially the closest endpoint of a line, an arc, a polygon segment, something like that. And it almost acts like a magnet. See, if I slowly move my mouse in, eventually it's going to pull it. There you go, like that. It's kind of hard to tell. Let's see. Boom. Okay, you can also right click while holding shift, and all of your snap points pop up here. So if I wanted endpoint, I could click endpoint, and then no matter where I go on this thing, even though I've got my midpoint turned on, it's going to go to the endpoint. So if I come here, draw a line out this way, still going based on the endpoint. Right? See there, now I've got the triangle. If I hold shift and right click and go to midpoint again, the triangle's gone. So I can only snap to the endpoints of objects. Example the book gives you something like this. So if I wanted to draw from endpoint to endpoint, and then from endpoint to midpoint, that's the triangle. I can also hold shift, right click, go to midpoint, and now I can only go to the midpoint. See, my endpoint's gone. So midpoint snaps to the middle of a line, an arc, or polygon segment. So it's a little triangle. Intersection snaps to the intersection of any two objects. So an intersection would be where two lines cross or two objects cross. If I wanted to draw a line, right click, hold shift, go to intersection, right there. See, this is the point where the two lines cross. It won't let me click anywhere else. Now, the X you're seeing with the dots is an extended intersection, which means that it's a piece of this line and this line and this line where they're all crossing each other. I can click within that area, but if you want just the intersection, so you hover, it says intersection. Pretty straightforward stuff. And then you can just go from there. The next one is center. It snaps to the center of an arc, a circle, or a donut. So in this case, go here, draw a line, and then I go to center. Anywhere that I click around this object, it's going to let me pull from the center. Okay. This one can be tricky if you're not careful, because if you try to click inside the circle, nothing's going to appear. But if I go around the perimeter of this thing, or the diameter, right? See, it's there. The next one is the geometric center, which basically snaps to the centroid, not the center, the centroid of any closed polylines or splines. So an example of that would be if I had a rectangle, right? There's a couple ways I could get to the center. I could draw lines going down and then across. And okay, I know that where these two cross each other, that's the center. Well, that's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. So let's start the line command, right click, and then we want to go to geometric center. By hovering over the lines, again, not the endpoints, not the inside. You can do the inside on these because it kind of shows you where it's at, but just by hovering around that perimeter of this thing, I click it, I know that that's the center. Pretty cool. Quadrant. Let's draw a circle to demonstrate this one. It basically snaps to 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock on a circle or an ellipse. So this one, pretty easy to get to. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Tangent, also off a circle. Go to tangent. Tangent is any point really along the circle where an object may intersect it. So right now it's all dots because I don't have an object around it, right? But if I were to draw a line, and let's put it like right there, and then turn on tangent. Let's see, where is it at? Let's see. Right here, we want to go tangent. It looks like it, see, that's what it's doing now. It's pulling from the tangent to the different points. I was trying to do the command backwards. See, it would pull from the tangent of right around where I clicked, and it kind of moves on its own a little bit. See, it's all in that same little spot, but it moves as it needs to get to the tangent. So if I were to come here, see, it specifies the next tangent point there. So to create a line off the tangent to do the next one. Well, it's almost like a microphone. Lastly, we have perpendicular. Snaps to a point perpendicular to the object selected. place the cursor anywhere on the object, then pull the cursor away from the object and press the left mouse button. So, if I draw my rectangle and I draw a line from, and we do perpendicular, again, it's going to do some dots just to get me started. See this line I can put up and down. I'm going to right click and go to perpendicular. So it's going to make it go straight across one way or the other to be perpendicular, even if I come all the way down here or all the way over here. You'll also sometimes see the symbol if I right click again after I've put it somewhere else and I say perpendicular, right there. If I click somewhere off to the side here with my ortho on and I say perpendicular, so that's at 90 degrees from the line that I started. Perpendicular 0, 180, and that's either 90 or 270, however you want to look at it. But that's really all the snap commands that we need to discuss at the moment. They're different things you can do. There are more of them. You can turn them off and on using the F3 key. You can go to your drafting settings and you can turn them all off. But you have F3 and F11 to kind of control that. Play with this menu. You can select them all. You can clear them all if you don't want to have any of them on. Really just depends on what you're doing and the application that's being used. But in this case, we're going to match what the book's telling us. So, object snaps, pretty simple. If you have any questions about that, let me know down in the comments below, and we'll get into it. I'll talk some about it. The next command we're going to cover is the zoom command, and that's over here on the view tab, right around, let's see, somewhere over here. Where is the zoom command? Sorry, I'm not used to using it from view tab, navigate, viewport tools. There should be a little navigate. I don't see it. This is why. It's because I need to show panels and we want navigate. I had it turned off. Sorry about that. It may be off on yours too as far as the default AutoCAD goes. I was trying to look through just to make sure I wasn't missing it, but we got it. It's right here. And to do that, if you look on chapter 1, I think it's 1-10 or 1-11, you can just right click and go to show panels and you can select the ones you want to turn off and on, again, based on what you're doing. So from here, you can navigate by doing extents, which is really what we're going to talk about today. And it's the zoom command, really, is all you're doing. And basically what that means is it's a more accurate way to take the roller wheel on your mouse and go in and out. If I double click, that's a command. If I click and drag my mouse wheel, that's a command. Again, holding it, double clicking, zooming out, zooming in, that sort of thing. All extents does is the same thing. So if I want to window here, it's going to zoom into that area. If I want to select previous, you can back up to 10 times of the different places you've zoomed in and out of. Real time kind of lets you move in and out while holding it. All is the same thing as double clicking your mouse wheel. You have dynamic, which lets you corner a window to scale from. We want right there down to there. Enter. And it's going to zoom in. So you can kind of show a little bit of what you want to do for that. I wouldn't get into anything really past extents, window, previous, real time, or all. And if you go to all, does the same thing. So just ways to zoom with the mouse. I'm sure by now, I don't know why the book chooses to cover it at this point. Really, that should be covered in the first chapter because it's how you kind of navigate looking at what you're doing, right? So anyway, you can select to zoom in on objects, things like that, and customize that as you want. The next thing that it talks about in chapter 4 is the drawing setup and the drawing limits. These are already done for you on the template. So you can type in ID if you're ever curious where a specific point is. X and Y we know is at 0, 0. So if I click that, it's going to tell me, okay, here I'm at 0, 0. And if I come up here to the top, it's going to tell me, okay, your X is 11 and your Y is 8.5. That's because we're using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, right? So we are 11 inches this way, 8.5 inches this way. All this is already set up for you. It's not anything that is something that you actually need to do. And you can type in drawing, if I can spell here, drawing limits. Is it drawing limits? Or is it just a limit? I think it's just limits is the command. Yeah, there you go. So you specify the lower left corner and then specify the upper right corner here. And your drawing limits are here to here. And what that is basically the space in which you're drawing in. See, our grid is already inside of there. You can turn that off and on with F7 as we learned before. So we've already got all of the limits set up for this, and you can also go to the DS again for the drafting settings. We talked about this in the last video, and you can manipulate this as you would like to for your X and Y spacing. You can display grid beyond limits. If I do that, see the grid actually now escapes the limits. We didn't talk about any of the grid behavior, but again, it's already set up for you in the template. This is really just going on and explaining what you can and can't do. Another thing that it talks about is units and precision, and we did not discuss this. If you go to type in the command units, you can select if you want to use architectural, decimal, engineering, fractional, scientific, whatever you want to do for your length. Same thing for your angles. You have different precisions that you can use. Same thing here. Depends on how precise you want to be. Insertion scale. You can change this. Again, we're not changing anything. We're leaving it just like it is. This is just more to show you that you have the ability to if you want. And instead of going counterclockwise, if you want to change the way your positive angles go, you can select this box. So typically your positive angles go counterclockwise. But if you'd like them to go in reverse to be clockwise, then you can check this box. Lighting, we don't really get into that too much. But anyway, again, this is stuff that is covered in the book. All it does is talk about it. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I just wanted to show you for a reference. So that being said, we are now on to exercise 4A. And the instructions are to start a new file. We've done that. And we need to set the units and precision. So we want fractional for inch users or decimal for metric users. So we're going to type in units, and we're going to come up here to fractional. And then it wants me to set the precision to 1/2 of an inch. We're going to do that there. And then it wants to set the drawing limits. So we're going to click OK. So we're going to type in the command limits. And we want the lower left corner to be 0, 0. And we want the upper right corner to be 2015. 2015. Let's see what it's done here. It's extended the drawing limits outside of the 8.5 by 11. Make sure to use the zoom all after setting the drawing limits. It's going to lock us in there. Right. Erase the rectangle that appears within the template. It will appear too small. So the rectangle here, we're going to get rid of that. And then it wants us to turn off the snap and the ortho. So we're going to hit F3 and F8. So if I draw a line, I'm free and I can't snap to anything. Next, we're going to draw the object shown below using circle, center radius, and line. Use the layer object line, object snap, center and tangent, and save the drawing as EX-4A. So we're going to draw the circle first. Go back to your Home tab. Go to Circle. We're going to put one right there. And let's make it 2. And then we're going to put another one over here. Make it 2 as well. We're going to put another one down here. Make it 2 as well. And these don't have to be super accurate. You're welcome to draw them how you'd like. We're going to do center. Whoop. Little sensitive there. Center. There we go. And let's make this one 1.5. Let's draw another circle using center. And let's make this one 0.5. Circle. And we're going to do center. 1.5. Circle. Center. 0.5. Circle. Just repeat over and over and over again. 0.5. Alright, so there are our 9 circles, and next is to draw the lines between them. So we're going to go line, and we're going to use tangent. Go from here. Boop, 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 boop. Do I want to use tangent, or do I want to use, let's see, I think I'd rather use quadrant. Yeah, let's use quadrant. Or should use tangent. I want to go from there to tangent. Why is the tangent not snapping? Specify the next point. I don't think that that's correct. I think I want to use line. I'm reading what the book is saying. I think quadrant is what you'd want to use. Let's say quadrant. Yeah, like that. Yeah, you definitely want to go quadrant. I don't think you want to go tangent. You want to go maybe quadrant and then tangent? Is that what they're... Quadrant and then tangent? There you go. That's what we're looking for. We want to go quadrant. I don't know why it's not. It's having a hard time getting the... Let's see, right there. And we want to go quadrant. Nope, sorry. Tangent. Tangent. There we go. Yeah, I don't know why it's taking just a second to figure that out. Tangent to tangent. You see, I'm having trouble doing it here too. Interesting. There we go. I'm not sure why it's being as picky as it is. Anywho, we're going to keep going. Line. And we want to start with the tangent. We go from about the bottom to tangent. Okay, see, there it goes. Not having any problems there. Maybe it's just getting started. It was having some issues here. Do tangent again. Go tangent to tangent. There we go. So we've connected those. It's kind of like a big belt, if you will. So now we're going to go to center, and we're going to go to center, and then again with center, and then one more time with center. And that is roughly your exercise 4A done. So let's do save as, exercise 4A, save. Yes, we do want to replace it. And then we're going to close. We want to go to new. It's going to use the same template that we used last time, so we're good here. And now it's going to ask us to do a few other things. So again, we're going to set the units to architectural, precision 1/2. So we're going to go OK. We're going to go architectural. We're going to go 1/2 inch. Click OK. And right there, a warning may appear asking you if you're sure you want to change the units. You can select the OK button. It's fine. It's just trying to stop you if you don't want to. So then we need to set the limits for the drawing. We're going to do 0, 0 to 2520. And delete this. So it'll be different for each one, so make sure you do this. Your instructor will probably be checking to make sure that you've actually done this. Make sure you do your zoom all to check everything. Make sure you're good. Erase the rectangle. Turn off the snap and the ortho. So we're going to hit, let's see, it's my, yeah, all that's off already from the last time. And then we want to draw the line below, and the only object snap we're going to use is perpendicular. So let's draw our first line, and we're going to go from roughly here to about there. So my next lines, we're going to go perpendicular, come off this. See, it's kind of locking it to where it's straight. We're going to draw another line, perpendicular. And again, accuracy is not the key here. This is just to get you used to using some of these commands outside of the locked in elements that it starts you with. Okay. That's off to the side a little bit, so we're going to draw this one. Perpendicular. Go down. Line. Perpendicular. Looks like we have two more on the outside there. Line. Want to go perpendicular. Whoop. I think I accidentally clicked on one a little too early there. Line. I'm going to go down about there. Very repetitive. You're just doing the same thing over and over. So once you get it down 1 or 2 times, you should be good to just keep going. Put one there. Go all the way down. And perpendicular again. Line. Perpendicular. Put another one about right there. And that should be your exercise. Whoops, I jumped ahead. I was looking at 4C. That's fine. We'll do 4C. Save as. exercise. I apologize for that. I didn't realize when I was looking in the book that I flipped to the next one. Exercise 4C. Save as. So I read all the directions correctly. I just made a mistake on the actual exercise. That's how you know this isn't scripted. New. Let's do save as, and we're going to do exercise 4B. Save. Okay, for exercise 4B, we're going to do units fractional and precision down to a quarter. So units. We want to do fractional, and we want to go down to a quarter. Click OK. And then we want to set the limits to 0 and 12, 9. So limits 0, 0, 12, comma 9. Delete that. Zoom extents. We're good. So this time we're going to draw a circle using the object line, and lines are going to be used using the hidden line layer. And the only object snap we're going to use is going to be a quadrant. So let's draw a circle here. It's probably big enough. We're going to go down to the hidden line, draw a line. We're going to go to quadrant and quadrant, quadrant. And quadrant. That one's super fast and easy. Let's do quadrant, line. Whoop. Line command, quadrant. Select your quadrant. Line command, quadrant. Line command, quadrant. Right click, quadrant. And that's exercise 4B. So let's save as exercise 4B. We're good with that. Yep. Turn over to exercise 4D. So we're going to close 4B. We're going to start a new one. Units. And we're going to switch to decimal. Precision needs to be changed to 0.00. Set the drawing limits. We're going to click OK. Limits. We want 0, 0. And we want the upper right to be 12, 9. 12, 9. We're going to delete this. Do our zoom extents. We want all the snaps turned off as usual. We want to use the object line layer, which we got it there. And the only snap we're going to use is the midpoint. Okay, let's get started. So let's do line. And it looks almost like a little rose petal. We're going to go down, down, over. Now we want to start the midpoint command, or the snap rather. We want to go to midpoint. 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 There we go. Keep clicking on the wrong thing. And you're just going to keep doing this over and over. Midpoint. Midpoint. Make sure you go slow enough to where you can actually click on the right snap here. Moving just a little too fast for demonstration purposes. Oh, missed that click. That is one of the good things about it, is if you do miss it, say I click here, it's not going to let me just put the line there. It's going to reset default. There you go. I think the object there is just to get as many of these lines as you can using the midpoint. It doesn't have to be exact to what's there. You just want to be able to kind of close it in on something. So there's your exercise 4D. Let's hit save as. And we want exercise 4D. Save. Close. Run a new. Exercise 4E is just turn off the snap on ortho, use the layer object line, and use the snap intersection. So we're not changing anything here. We'll leave it like it is. Line. Let's go from here to here. We're going to go from there to there. And we're just going to draw some lines down the middle here. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. And again, they can kind of be wherever they're at. Now we're going to use line, and we're going to go for, where's intersection? From there. It's right below midpoint. Intersection there. To intersection there. Intersection. Intersection. Oh, click midpoint. Again, be careful about doing that. And if it kind of sticks up on you, you're just press escape to back out of the command. It's super easy to start over if you need to. Intersection. And there is your exercise 4E. Save as. You will blow through these once you get 1 or 2 down. Again, it's one of those things to where you're just doing the same thing over and over again very repetitively. So I apologize for the lack of assignment, but there's nothing I can really do about that. Okay. Exercise 4F. We're going to turn off the snap and ortho, which we've got. And then we're going to draw 2 circles on the layer object line with the following radii. So we want one that is 1.5 inches. Let's go here. We want to do 1.5. And then our next one is going to be use the center. Whoop. And then this one's going to be 3.5. 3.5. Okay. Draw the lines using the layers object line and center line depending upon what they look like. So you should be able to look at them and tell the difference. We're going to start with the object line since we're already on that layer, and the only snaps we're going to use are quadrant and tangent. So if I use line and we go from, let's do quadrant first. And we do quadrant. Do quadrant. That's weird. Why did it do that again? I'm having some issues with the quadrant thing. Quadrant. Should just go right there to it. Quadrant. There we go. See, it worked that time. I don't know why it's having a hard time picking up those quadrants for some reason. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the way that I'm trying to select it. There we go. I think that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to target too close to the actual quadrant, and it's causing me to make mistakes. So once those are in, the next thing we want to do is go from the quadrant to the tangent. So let's do that. So let's go tangent. Nope, nope, nope. Try to go quadrant. Line. And we want to go from quadrant there we go, to tangent. There we go. We want to go quadrant to tangent. Quadrant. I think we're getting it now. To tangent. We want to go yeah, I think that's what it was. It seems like I'm moving pretty quick now. Quadrant to tangent. We want to go quadrant to tangent. No, tangent to, yeah, quadrant to tangent. Yeah, I think I messed that one up too. All right, quadrant to tangent. Quadrant to tangent. Quadrant to tangent. Okay, so we've got all the object line layers done all the way around. So now it's time to do the hidden lines. Or excuse me, not the hidden lines, the center line. Sorry about that. We want to go quadrant to quadrant. We want to go quadrant to quadrant. Okay, there is your exercise 4F. So we're going to go save as. Exercise. Whoop, whoop, whoop. If I could spell. Drafters are notorious for not knowing how to spell. I am no exception. Alright, we're going to go to exercise 4G. Save changes, yes. New. Alright, start a new file, turn off snap and ortho, we've got that. Draw a rectangle on the layer object line. We're on the object line layer. We want the length and the width specified. So we're going to click D for dimensions. We've got the length is 6.5. Enter. And the width is 4.5. Enter. I want to kind of center that a little bit. Draw the circle using the layer object line with a radius of 1.5. And to get that, we want the geometric center. So I'm going to shift right click and go to geometric center. And we want the radius to be 1.5. And then we want to draw the lines using layer center line using the midpoint snap point. So let's go to the center line. And we want the midpoint snap point to the midpoint. Midpoint to midpoint. And there is your exercise 4G. So many. That wraps up chapter 4, believe it or not. There's only exercise 4A through 4G. Yeah, so that's it. I'll probably try to do something like put all the exercises together at the end instead of breaking them up by timestamps. I think they may have all been under a minute or two, so I'll just put all the exercises at the end and the explanation at the beginning of the video and then the intro. So thank you for watching. I hope this helps with your classes or your studies if you're learning to use the program, anything like that. If you would, please like and subscribe. It helps me produce this content on a more regular basis. Right now I'm trying to do once a week and things like that just to be helpful, and then I plan on covering some other stuff as well. So thank you for any and all support, and I will see you in the next video. We're going to cover Chapter 5.